Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to InfoComm 2017. We're here on the NEC Display Solutions stand, which is number 1600. Delighted this afternoon to have with us Nick Belcore from Peerless AV. Nick,
delighted to be here.
Welcome very much.
Thank you.
Now, you're an executive vice president, which is pretty high up the chain, I guess, and you're responsible for
global sales, marketing, and business development initiatives for Peerless.
Okay, fine. How long did it take you to work up to become executive vice president?
I was appointed to my most recent position about 8 months ago.
Okay, and you've been with the company for about 11 years.
About 11 years, yes.
Everybody knows
11 years.
Nick from Peerless.
Everybody knows Nick from Peerless.
Yeah. And you're based in Aurora, Illinois?
We are.
You live locally there?
30 miles straight west. I live in Chicago.
In Chicago?
Yes.
So not too much of a commute?
Time-wise, it's a substantial commute.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's about 45 because I get in quite early. It's about an hour and 45 home. Which is
so how close are you to Itasca, where the NEC people are?
Not at all far. We're about 35 minutes from them. You go straight up 355 and we're at their office.
Does that help the relation? Because you've got one of the tightest relationships, I think, with NEC. Does that help?
Proximity never hurts. The way that NEC communicates with their partners is probably the single biggest asset. So I think even if we were not geographically desirable, they would still be an amazing partner to us. But yes, proximity always helps because if there's ever any questions, they can run down and see us or we can run over and see them.
Yeah, that's cool. So InfoComm is a big show for you. We've seen you here many, many years, but you also do ISE. So
we do.
How do you see the differences with ISE at the beginning of the year, much larger show as well, and then an InfoComm either in Florida or Las Vegas?
The European markets are a little bit different and they're a little bit more complicated to attack than North America markets because you have the complexities of the individual countries that comprise those markets, the language barriers that go into them. But what's interesting is how unifying the technology is that's driving the deployments everywhere in Europe regardless of those other barriers. I have to say, Europe was clearly the leader in LED technology and LED deployment.
Wow.
And we started to see that in much higher proliferation there than we did here. But the US and North America are catching up very, very rapidly, and I think that's very evident at this show.
It's interesting because I find that people like yourselves are in a pretty unique place to see those trends. I think everybody else is a little bit blinkered. If I sell LCDs, I tend to think I sell LCDs, and that's the business I know. But you guys see those trends, so you would have seen the LED trend. You're saying you saw it first in Europe.
Absolutely.
How is that really affecting your business? I mean, there must be big opportunities in LED. There's no standards really for some of the stuff? Massive
opportunities, and we're grateful for that lack of standard that you just mentioned. Because with standardization becomes lower barriers to entry. And so what you're going to see with the LED tiles now are solutions that are unique to manufacturers. So you'll see a standard solution for NEC, a standard solution for Samsung, a standard solution for anyone that creates one. But it won't be a Visa standard, so to speak, or something in that capacity for quite some time until there's some standardization on the cabinet. That's good for engineering and design and innovation companies like Peerless AV because it very nicely exploits where we excel and then makes it impossible for someone to make a million of one thing and then get it into the market and drive all the value out of it.
So on your stand, which is 901,
yes,
you've got some innovative LED stuff going on there, haven't you?
We do. We have two very innovative solutions there, and that technology is evolving very quickly. So one of them, ironically, was developed to take care of rear serviceable LEDs, which are now quickly becoming extinct. And on the aisle, we have our front serviceable little brother to it, which came after it, and ironically is very easy for us to design and manufacture by comparison.
How does that work? It pulls out, or it's what sort of cover?
So the one for rear serviceable does pull out. The one for front serviceable, there's no need because the front of the LED module gets removed and everything is done through it. And so that one ends up being static, but what's critically important, as was the case with LCD video walls, is having the adjustability required to make sure you've got all of those seams just perfect in an LED deployment, because as you're well aware, there's no tolerance for error on those. They're quite expensive and they stand out quite badly if they're not aligned just right.
How far do you think the LED quality can go? I mean, we're sitting in front of a 2.5mm LED now. We've got a Stuart film screen on your side and it's unfiltered on my side. That's unbelievable to have that as a broadcast backdrop. When you look at it, you think it's less than that. But there's other manufacturers on the show floor today have launched not launched because they've been around, but they're showing 0.7 and whatever. How small and how detailed can it go? Does it cause any problems for you guys?
So I'll answer that generically, which is to say that I would never bet against technology. It will go as small as it needs to take over the market completely because of the money and the horsepower that's behind it. Because of the various countries and manufacturers that are putting their money and horsepower behind it. but it's going to take them a while to get there. We don't anticipate it completely eclipsing LCD technology in video wall applications for at least the next 3 to 5 years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. We see it taking chunks of its share,
Yeah.
certainly while it grows, but
But it won't eclipse it.
not in the next 3 to 5 years.
One of the interesting things, and I think it was one of your guys at ISE told me this about projection, which seems to be not, if I'm saying making a comeback, may not be the right word, but certainly projection is very popular.
Yes.
And you have some great mounts. I mean, on the NEC stand, we've got some nice vertical projection mounts from you guys, showing off some 3M film reverse bits and pieces.
Yes.
That must be exciting as well. That
it is for us because it's a revival of a category. So in certain markets, yes, in certain markets we've seen, particularly the education and corporate boardroom markets, we've seen massive shrinkage of the projector business and all of the accessories that go with that, which are principally what Peerless AV does. And so we're very, very pleased to see, because they were of course replaced by touch panels and cart systems, et cetera. We're very, very pleased to see a return to prominence in large format because that gives us an opportunity to again partner with companies like NEC that have invested significantly in that technology that quite frankly gives superior results right now.
There's some good stuff on the stand.
Very, very good.
Now tell me the last thing, tell me about Daytona then, because you guys have been doing some stuff with Daytona Speedway. Is that the right word?
Yes. Daytona International Speedway. That is exactly the right word.
This is the racetrack we go round and round and round and
round. Yes, it's a series of left turns for 500 miles.
That's the one.
Yes.
So tell us what you did there, and then you've got some stuff on your stand, a competition as well. So explain first of all the win, and then talk about the stand.
So we're the official outdoor display provider for Daytona International Speedway.
Okay, the official outdoor supply.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
They deployed about 700 units initially for the revamping of the Daytona International Speedway, followed by another 110 units after the first year when they realized that they needed them in other places, because the Peerless AV Extreme solves a very unique marketplace need in that it's the only fully sealed display.
Right.
So it's certainly not a broad application product.
Okay.
But
you announced another outdoor product at this show.
Yes. So that product is an UltraView product by name. That is a light commercial bar and restaurant type product for people that are looking to do their beer gardens or even their custom home installs.
Gotcha.
So that is not a heavy commercial product like the Extremes. That is a light commercial product for the application.
And so the Daytona Speedway, they use them for wayfinding, corporate communications?
Actually, they use them principally to enhance the customer experience.
Oh,
so during the races, that's what they're running on it. Because what they found is, particularly for lines for the restrooms, for concessions, for anything where they still want the revenue dollars, they don't want the fans to miss that experience.
Right.
And we all know the weather in South Florida, as you've experienced over the last couple of days yourself, wet, buggy, and hot. And so those things were a unique combination that made the Peerless AV Extreme a good solution set for that.
And the Daytona race, the 500, is that what it's called?
Yes, the Daytona.
You're talking to a European who knows about Formula One, but not
that is okay.
Indy. Is in January.
Yes.
And you've got something on your stand, which is one of the reasons. There's lots of reasons to go and visit 901.
Yes, there are.
But this is the reason to go and visit 901. So tell us, last question, tell us why we should go to visit 901.
So other than the products that you mentioned, you have to come by, and we're doing a tire change contest. So one of the biggest components of NASCAR is how quickly you can get in or out of the pit. And that is heavily predicated on whether or not your pit crew is able to change your tires out quickly. So we've got a half a car along with 2 impact wrenches in the booth, and literally it's been hilarious watching people race one another. It's amazing to see how competitive we get about virtually anything in this industry.
Course, yes.
To get the tire off, back on, and resecured, and then your name is on the LED leaderboard that is behind the car. And the winner of that contest each day gets a really, really nice high-end watch, and then the winner of that overall gets a VIP prize package to the Daytona 500 next year.
Good. Nick, well anyway, thank you. I mean, there's lots of reasons to go and see Peerless at 901, but that's a good reason. So if you need an extra reason, do it. So Nick, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Good to see you.